Hello, recovery warriors out there. This is Lolita, your moderator for the day, and talking to you from lovely Tasmania, down here in the bottom of the world, a tiny, tiny little island down here that's in the middle of, well, not even the middle of winter, the beginning of winter, actually. So I wanted to talk to you today about something that touched me very deeply this week. Um, the week was full of calls with people who responded to my interview with Raylan. And hi, Ange, nice to see you. Thanks for being here. And yeah, so one of the things that really stood out for me today through the week, talking with people who are inquiring about the possibility of working with me. And what really stood out for me was this incredible grief that so many of them were going through. And it reminded me of my own grief that I went through, which was, golly, more than I've been well for 11 years, had my illness for 17 years. So it was quite a long time ago, but golly, I still remember it well. And I just wanted to talk about that because I can see that so many of us here in this group are also going through our own grief. And everyone will go through it at a different stage. And so I just wanted to kind of encourage everyone to notice that, notice when people are posting and to really give them the care and respect that they need because we're all going through these different stages of grief. There's so much that we lose when we're diagnosed with a chronic illness. I had no idea when I first became ill, and I was told constantly by all my doctors, don't look for a cure, don't look for a cure. I can remember not my first diagnosis was of lupus, and it took 4 years before that was diagnosed, and I was so ill. I was in chronic pain every day from head to toe. I had no idea what was going on with me. I had 101 different symptoms, and including chronic fatigue. They knew nothing about that back then. So I know that that's the diagnosis that I would have got probably first of all. But what happened was, I'm going through all of this, and then finally I got the diagnosis, and that's when my grief really kicked in big time. I remember just going home and just weeping and weeping and weeping to be told that I had lupus, and then to be told there was no cure. And the doctor said to me at the time, he said, go to this, there's a conference on, it's just a small one-day one where they'll be talking about pain and chronic illness. And when I walked in the door, I was really not in the best frame of mind to go. And physically, I was not in the best way to go, but I thought I've got to go. And I walked in the door, and written on the blackboard at the front of the room, you wouldn't believe it, don't look for a cure. There is no cure. Can you believe that? And I just sat there and I had tears. I can still feel the tears now. I have had tears rolling down my eyes. I was sitting in a room. I was only 40 then, and I was sitting in a room full of very, very, very elderly people, and I looked around the room, and the tears were just flowing down my eyes. And I remember a lady sitting next to me. She was very kind, and she just looked at me, and she just nodded in acknowledgement. And then I remember just going home after having that diagnosis and just going into a deep depression, really deep depression. And that was horrible, just horrible for me, but also horrible for my family. I can remember my two young daughters at the time just not understanding, not knowing what was going on, and I couldn't talk about it. I just couldn't talk about it because I couldn't get my head around it. So the first stage of a loss and a grief of being diagnosed with an illness is denial. complete denial. Even though I was in this horrendous pain, I was in denial. I just wake up every day thinking, no, it's going to go. I'll just wake up one day and it'll be gone and I'll be okay. And, I was refusing to take medications, which my family were not very happy with. And so that denial process, I think, was really around for a long time. I don't know how long, but it seemed like quite a few years that I was in that. And then I went through the anger stage, so angry towards the doctors, angry towards myself, beating myself up that I'd got myself into that situation. I should have taken better care of myself. I should have listened to my body. I should have rested, all of that. I went through that extreme anger. And you'll see people, on their posts where they'll be expressing that anger. And please be gentle with them. Please try and understand that these are all the stages that people go through. And then there's bargaining. Do you remember bargaining? Please, God, I'll do anything, promise. I'll take better care of myself. Next time, just let me get well. Just give me my life back. And golly, I didn't realize I'd feel these feelings still. It's still there. It's still there. It's such a devastating time. And it takes a lot, to really accept that you've lost so much. I'd lost everything. I couldn't be the mother I wanted to be. I couldn't be the wife I wanted to be. I couldn't be the friend I wanted to be. I couldn't be a member in my community anymore. And I was very active in my community. I couldn't do my job anymore. I had to sell my business, and I'd worked hard to have that business and raise children and take care of a family at the same time. I had to let that business go. And then, I said, so there's those stages, and then that depression. And then a long time before finally there was acceptance. Finally, there was acceptance. I don't know how I got there. Don't ask me how, and I don't know how you'll get there. But there will be a time when there'll be acceptance. And now I look back and I realize that the acceptance was when I started to get really proactive and just started to search high and low for anything that I could find. I gave in and I went through the medical model and I took all the horrendous drugs and medications that I was given. And I told myself that I would continue using those to just stay alive until I found other things that would support me, and then I would get off them. Then I'd stop them, and that's eventually what I did. So this grief and this loss of our life, our hopes, our dreams, our plans for the future, the life that we wanted to live, that we deserve to live, is gone when you're diagnosed with these illnesses. So it's a time to be really compassionate with yourself. It's a time to be very kind and loving with yourself and surround yourself with people that will give you that understanding and that love and that care that's so much needed. And one of the things that I heard from a lot of the people through the week who'd contacted me, a lot of them didn't even realize that they were in the grief. They hadn't realized until I sort of pointed it out to them when they were expressing their sadness and their anger and their frustration and their feelings of depression and denial, all of those things that they were expressing, and they didn't even realize they were experiencing grief until I pointed it out to them. And then it was like a light bulb went off for them. It was like, oh my goodness, yes, that's what I'm feeling. And they were frustrated because a lot of the programs that they had done didn't cover grief. Because I asked them, I said, the programs that you've already been doing, did anybody cover grief, and did they give you support and skills and tools to address grief, and all of them said no. I'm sure that there are. I'm sure there's programs out there. But when you're looking for a program, please look for that. Look for that. Ask your program facilitators, organisers, owners, whatever, do they address grief in their program? And if not, then you need to get some grief counselling. You need to go and see someone, talk to someone, and really um, get some support around the grief and the losses that you're facing. Because I think now when I look back, I think if I had had more of that, I possibly could have um, stop myself from going down the track that I did, which was attempting suicide. After many, many, many years, not right at the beginning, right, very close to kind of really before I started to get well. I had suicidal thoughts for a long, long time. I had suicidal ideation. I finally went to a psychologist and got a little bit of support. But I think if I'd had that right from the beginning, I may not have gone down that road. I don't know. But please get the support that you need, get the care that you need, and give yourself the love and support and care that you need. So I hope this has helped you. I hope that your caregivers, your parents, your partners, whoever, help them to understand that this is a deep grief and a loss that you're facing, and please take care of yourself. Please take good care of yourself and good care of each other.